Here you are, sir.
Yeah.
Yummers.
Okay, this episode was really fucking good, mainly focusing on the differences in ideology between Shu and Yuma, on aliens living on Earth and the reason why they would stay, with them investigating a small town that suffered a large amount of earthquakes, which that small town was very close to where pretty much Monogalus and Ark actually fought, but also that same small town also saw a UFO, which happened a couple of days before K-Day, which, ooh, okay, are we getting like more lore? Like, is somehow K-Day and what happened on K-Day is somehow connected to the UFO sightings. And it was kind of interesting that, oh yeah, the UFO sightings was kind of a big deal slightly before K-Day, and then K-Day happened and, you know, everything kind of changed. And I just loved when they arrived to a small restaurant and they started kind of like questioning not only the receptionist but also the owner. Something happens and, you know, the receptionist kind of seems suspicious alongside the owner. Sho kind of almost like removes his mask and shows for both Rene and Yuma who he kind of really is. Like going full investigation mode, just really pressing like the waiter slash like I think she's supposed to be the cook about the receptionist and the owner. And it really feels like, oh, he saw something, he doesn't like it, and he doesn't give a shit about like any casualties. And it's like really good. Again, it shows kind of a different side to Sho, which I fucking love. Like him being his true self, like truly believing that, yeah, like the alien is here to take over Earth, like there is nothing more about it, aliens are bad, which is, it's a really interesting take on a lot of like Japanese, like a lot of elder Japanese people, like looking at foreigners that live in Japan and even like no live in Japan, just come and visit. It's such an interesting thing. And it's an interesting thing to do to a character that is a part of our main cast. Kind of like present him as a person that in his kind of like ideology, he's not that great. Which is like I love, and it's like completely great to see it in contrast to Yuma, where Yuma is very open-minded. He just wants to hear your story first before he straight up like quit on just judging you. I just love it. Even after Sho heard the alien Crox's reason to stay on Earth, which was purely not his fault. His friends who were a bunch of pieces of shit, they just left them on Earth. He still believed there is some sort of a side story, there is some sort of a thing that he didn't say, which in the end he was kind of right, but not to the extent that he really thought. Because yeah, like he was missing the big part that the owner actually knew he was an alien, but he hid it for a very specific reason, because it's actually like kind of illegal, so he wanted to protect her, which was so good. And again, it shows like Sho as a character, he's very much like not an entirely like good person. He's not. It's not, you know, that hard to see that, yeah, like Sho as a person, Sho as a human is very flawed. and I fucking love it. And he at least semi kind of lets go of that idea after really getting to see Yuma's kind of belief and kind of saying, oh, maybe Yuma's right. And again, it is interesting to just kind of like, he's not fully there yet, not yet. And it is kind of like, oh, the way that the episode began kind of like presented the alien Croco to be kind of like, oh, he's the bad guy of the episode. With literally the beginning of the episode, we see him kind of doing shit, while we then discover that the thing that he was doing was actually like repairing his ship, which is like semi-fully like operating on fucking like mushroom stems, which is fucking bizarre. But to tell you the truth, I would like to see like the alien Croco on Joe Rogan. It would be just weird. They would just do mushrooms. That would be odd. Or that, or fucking Mike Tyson's fucking podcast. It's just like, oh, both of them eating shrooms and just getting high. And just, I love that in the end, it like, and with that scene, and now the context of why show Yuma and Rin were there, it's like, oh, maybe he's connected to the earthquakes, which in the end, it wasn't. It was a cast of Shagons, which is kind of like a cool, interesting way to kind of show us that yes, Shagons are like genuinely relative to Earths. That's cool. Like, people maybe like have seen and heard some reviews that said, oh, there weren't any Earth kaijus. Like, there were, it just most of them went to hiding a long time ago. And that fight in between like the cast of Shagons and Ark was great. It was cool to see like Ark in his Solaris armor using the Arc saber. That was cool. And like having a moment for the Croco to like get a some of an heroic moment, kind of like saving the owner. There was I think one of the other worker. Again, I'm not sure what her job is. Rin and Show was really cool, and it kind of like gave us a big fake out of, oh my god, he risked his life for us, which didn't happen in the end, but also kind of showed us a different characteristic to Ark, because after the other Shagon got defeated, like the last Shagon, at least in that fight, kind of turned around and walked away, and Ark kind of let him go, which is a very Ultraman Cosmos thing to do. Like, I genuinely loved it. It was such a cool characteristic for an Ultraman to do, because here's the thing, like, he's very much like, I think the Shagons are supposed to be carnivores if I remember correctly, so like the idea that fucking like, okay, like go ahead, leave, you can probably like can go and just, you know, eat some birds or something, I don't really care. But it is like super cool to see like, oh, an Ultraman that is kind of like, oh, like I'm just letting you go, like I don't really like give a shit. Again, like I fucking love it. It's like so fucking cool. And in the end, like the alien Croco did get arrested, but it seems like, oh, Show is starting to understand. It's not fully there yet. I think he has a mile away to fully kind of understand what it's really like to be a hero and what it's like to be a really good person, because it seems that Yuma is where like Show is going to be. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see that transformation for Show, because he even says, yeah, like the little hand gesture that the alien and the owner did, he seems to be weird, and he thought that he was the only one that noticed it, and like Yuma said, no, I noticed it too, but it feels like it's a way warmer gesture than what you think. Which, yeah, like if you look at it from the eyes of, let's say, a Show, which the entire episode kind of was in his eyes. Yeah, it looks weird, it looks odd, it looks kind of, okay, maybe they're the bad guys, maybe they're trying to do something, maybe they're, you know, a bunch of aliens and try to take over Earth. But when we see it again and it's way more in Yuma's eyes, it's like, oh no, okay, that was actually, we were wrong about that. And it's like so cool. Like, something about this episode fucking worked for me. Like, this episode, in my opinion, is the strongest episode arc ever been. Like, it's this kind of like showing us like an episode with two very much different perspectives just fucking works. And I truly believe that Yuma and Sho as semi-dual protagonists fucking works. And like, fuck, like, it seems like a lot of like, you know, Kuga, I forgot the name of the police officer and the host of Kuga right now, because I always just want to say Joe and Aditi, but yeah, Joe and the policeman. But to, let's say, a lesser extent, and to even a lesser extent to Gamu and Fujiyama, which I hope that in one point we're going to get back to that relationship, that sort of relationship in an Ultra show, because I think it is really good to have like two Ultras that have totally like two opposite worldviews of what an Ultra should be. Again, yeah, that again, I'm not going to like rile on any longer. I think it's arc at its strongest point. I think it's literally right now arc's like strongest episode. This one gets an S+. I don't give a shit. So, what you thought about arc episode 6? Comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please press that like button. And also, if you haven't helped my subscribe button, at least on your side, to become a subscribe button, please do. Come on, be a good Samaritan, because hey, let's not forget, you're the only one that can prevent forest fires. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.